picked up our chairs, our tables, our snacks, everything, and we're excited to head out to the University of Washington for the first time for our 2018 Van Campaign.
And action.
All right, we're here at UC Berkeley today, our first day in California. We've heard some pretty wild things about the anti-Israel community here, about them denying speakers and getting violent with presentations. So we wanted to come ourselves and see what it's all about and how we're treated.
Israel's a racist state. You're a racist. You support genocide.
I don't. You support using your people's suffering to attack mine.
You're supporting a genocide.
You're giving fuel to the conflict.
I definitely think there's a lot of hostility to Israel. There are a lot of people who don't really understand the issue.
From your experience in the past 2-3 years on this campus, what is the environment when it comes down to topics like Israel?
It's openly hostile to anyone who seems to disagree with what the student body wants.
There are some times where it's not really safe to talk about Israel in the classrooms, and sometimes on Sproul, here we are, this is the main area on campus.
Wearing an Israel shirt and saying I'm part of the Israeli people is not offensive.
It's not offensive to you, but you also have to understand why someone may find it offensive.
What does Zionism mean?
Zionism, well, at least from what I saw people yesterday that were very passionate about it, endorsing the ethnic cleansing of Palestine.
The whole idea of Zionism is to make Israel and that land, Palestine, only for Jewish people.
Zionism would be Israel being expansionist, right? Expanding its borders. Am I correct in that?
So Zionism, in fact, is a very simple one definition term, right? It's the right for the Jewish people to self-determine on their homeland.
Okay. We believe that people who are against this idea and say that Jewish people should not have a country, that borders line with anti-Semitism. This is their message here today, and we'll be happy to hear from you. What do you think?
Transjordan, Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq, all responsible for waging a genocidal war against Israel the day after it declared its independence. If you're expecting that the Jews will just stand there and die again, be just sheep for the slaughter, you're wrong.
How about when the Arabs around you, the countries around you, actually proclaim that we need to drive all the Jews into the ocean and kill all of them, and then they actually go and do that, and then what do when that happens?
So at this point, you're talking about a hypothetical?
No, that actually happened.
From this political culture is that they will be able to successfully separate Jews from the project and well-being of Jewish independence. For them, that is what constitutes a victory. It's really an ideological war on an entire generation of Jews. And this is essentially the purpose of BDS, JVP, Students for Justice in Palestine. I think that they're the dominant cultures because they're the loudest. Many Jews have just totally fallen away from Jewish identity and to a connection to Israel because they're being bullied into submission by people who are just ideologues.
And if you ever had the opportunity to get to travel to Israel, would that be something that you would do?
Definitely not.
How come?
I am 100% support Palestine, yeah.
If you are supportive of the Palestinians, it must mean that you need to be an anti-Zionist. The agenda of intersectionality is that you need to check off a lot of boxes, and one of the boxes that you need to check off is being anti-Zionist. And I think they're getting this perspective that Israel is this white European colonialist, apartheid, empire that's oppressing people in the Middle East, when really the story is very different.
They think, Israel, Jews are separate, but if you deny the Jews the right to a state, you're basically being anti-Semitic because you're denying them the right to their homeland and their safe land.
People keep saying, you know, there's a difference between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, but I think people need to really start asking themselves, if there is a line and there is a difference, why does it keep getting crossed? Just last night, SJP released an event where they were going to hold a joint vigil for the victims in Pittsburgh and the victims in Gaza, somehow equating the two. There really is no line, and that anti-Zionism is the new form of anti-Semitism.
Do you think SGP tried to hijack a cause here?
Absolutely, that's exactly what they tried to do.
The terms pro and anti-Israel are very black and white. I think you can be progressive and you can recognize perhaps some issues in Israel, because the term anti-Israel makes it seem that you are completely against the existence of this nation and the right of the Jewish people to have a state, which I think is very not progressive.
If you are beginning your ideological war against statehood in general at the feet of the Jewish people, if that has to be the first state that goes down, you might just be an anti-Semitic son of a gun.
You can't even bring it up. I have a radio show on campus, and I invited GUPS to come on my show, and they didn't want to have any conversation with me at all. So there's really not an environment for discussion here on campus. I tried to not take sides in this necessarily, just to hear people out, and they didn't even want to come on my show.
Do you think it's normal that some students should be scared of their identity on campus? Is that okay?
It is normal, yeah, because there's so much hate out in the world.
And so when I tell you Israel, what are your first thoughts?
Actually, I don't really understand that word.
Israel, it's a country.
Oh, okay. Oh, country?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Israel?
Yeah, no, actually no.
No, it's your first time?
Yeah.
So would you say that there's a need on this campus for some sort of group that supports Israel's right to exist, that talks about Jewish self-determination?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
If there are students interested in opening a grassroots initiative on this campus to talk about Jewish rights in Israel and to inform people and to bring people closer to a cause that, me and you both know is a human rights cause.
Absolutely, I'll be down for that.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea.
SSI can represent something beyond an idea just for a campus, but basically an idea that sparks a new revolution within the future of the Jewish people.
How do we do it? People believe in something, We work 24/7 and we go to sleep with this on our mind and we wake up with it on our mind.
The conflict is incredibly complex, as anyone could probably tell you, but I don't know that I would say that the suffering of the Palestinians is inherent to the existence of the Jews in the Middle East.
So if I go all in when I'm playing poker and I lose, I can't then blame the other side for taking my money.
So why did they wage those wars then, is the question?
Well, if you look at actually what the leader said, is they said we need to wipe out all the Jews. We need to drive the Jews from the river to the sea. That's when they say, free Palestine, from the river to the sea, Palestine. Right, it's actually remnants of what their leader said. He's like, we don't want any Jews there. You can't blame the entire conflict on the fact that Jews want to live there. So if you're against Jews being able to live in their homeland, you're against Jews.
It's not the same though.
What's not the same?
There were no Jews in that homeland when
there were always Jews.
Yeah, but not to the extent where everyone just poured in. I just think none of this belongs on campus. Palestinian SJP's
right. However, anti-Semitism isn't a joke.
No, it's not a joke.
Right, but they're bringing people that spew anti-Semitism that have killed Jews and who support killing Jews. So for us, that's not a joke.
Why is Palestinian associated with terrorist salaries here?
Okay, because that's the Palestinian Authority is actually paying people who are going and killing Jews. We need to be able to condemn that. That's happening.
The Authority is doing that too, and every
they're not paying anybody to kill. If an Israeli citizen goes and kills a Palestinian, they are jailed and they are condemned by the entire society. That is true.
That's not true.
That is 100% true.
I believe that universities started for the reason for people to exchange ideas, even if sometimes they disagree with those ideas. This is the place where we should have a conversation, and a healthy conversation, even if sometimes we disagree, and too often we see that that's not the case.
They definitely pretend to be, but this is not the campus that promotes free speech or free thought.
What do you do in order to be strong?
So to be strong means to respond when there's something that happens on campus, not letting anything slide, going on the offensive, so holding events that promote Zionism in Israel, not just responding to what the other side does. Challenge this sort of lack of intellectual diversity on campus. We're going to make our voices heard and make it clear that wherever anti-Zionism comes up, we're going to answer.
You're probably the most reasonable person I've ever talked to about this. I'm not gonna lie. We appreciate you stopping by.
If you'll have a chance to travel to Israel and see things firsthand, do you think you would like to do such a thing, to learn more, or to even learn about things that you might thought that that's the case right now, but that's not necessarily the case?
Of course.
So you are open-minded to
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Outstanding. I think that's all we need. Thank you, cameraman. Hey, thank you very, very much. In the past week, we visited 6 universities on the West Coast. The fact is, there is an ideological warfare on Israel on campus. The bias, the misinformation, and the lies are outrageous. And for that reason, students supporting Israel engaged. We want you not just to support Israel from your home, but we want you to take your pride and support to Israel to campus. Contact students supporting Israel in order to find out how you can get involved on campus.